Hey there, welcome back to the Count to 10 podcast. Today's might be a little bit shorter than last week's. I didn't mean to get too wordy, though it's not hard for me to get wordy. My name is Simon Sanborn. This is the Count to 10 podcast, and what I'm really focusing on here is communication and some of the things that can impede that as we go through our days, as we go through our months and years of our lives. I had a really cool meditation that I was doing on the Waking Up meditation app by Sam Harris. And it talked about how not only are we doing this every day, but taking time out to recognize when we are really present and living our lives the best way possible. It's really amazing when it can kind of happen in those moments when you're really truly present for something. But he recommended this website, and I will try to remember the name and try to put it in the liner notes if I can on YouTube. But you can buy this poster, which is a poster of a 90-year life broken into weeks, and you can see it all played out. I looked and saw what it looked like. It looked awesome. I think I'm probably going to get one. And it really is just like an opportunity to have perspective on this life you're leading, that how much you've already lived and what you've acquired and how much more you have. It was pretty cool looking. So I think I'm going to see what it looks like and just try it for myself. I just love, little tricks like that kind of shift my perspective and shift my thinking and make me more mindful. I think as I discover these things more and more, am I bummed that it happened when I was 50, that I started having all these self-discoveries? Yes, it's a bummer. But I have, hopefully, another 25, 30 years to go. So it's all about perspective, I guess, and that's what this poster kind of showed. So the first thing I'll share is that I had a conversation with someone this week, and it kind of we talked about the idea of perspective and people's perspectives of us and how we think people perceive us. Probably more important way of saying it. And I got some feedback that kind of I would say just negative feedback about my how I do things. And so it kind of took me down a notch or two. Been feeling really good this year personally and professionally. And so it kind of gave me kind of a gut punch, and I was like, dang, I wish I could not get down these negative spirals, right? But it happens sometimes. So I was kind of bummed. I went home, and I've been reading this really good book. It's called Total Blank Godhead. It is the autobiography of Chris Cornell, who was the lead singer of Soundgarden. And I was a Soundgarden when they became popular, but I wasn't a Soundgarden fan when they were like their grungiest, coming up with music kind of thing. So I'll be upfront about that. I haven't been following over, but this book is amazing. And so I had that moment that day with somebody I was talking to. It kind of took me down a negative spiral. And this is what I read when I got home, and this is kind of crazy. So he talked about this song that he had put together. And they were interviewing him later in his life. And so he is quoted as saying, "I don't know how everyone else feels, but I definitely go through periods of extreme self-confidence, feeling like I can do anything." And he told this to RIP Magazine in 1992. "But then someone will say something, however insignificant, or I'll get something in my head, and all of a sudden I'm plummeting in the opposite direction. I'm a piece of crap, and I really can't do anything about it. That's where this song comes from, and why I'll never consider myself a hero." I just thought that the timing obviously kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't feeling great, and here's somebody who we can probably say that he is considered one of those rock gods nowadays, who unfortunately took his own life. But he was saying that even somebody who has wealth and somebody has popularity and somebody has a wonderful family and a wonderful life, in any given moment, it can shift. And I think it's important to understand that is just our brains. It just is how our brains work. I think sometimes we can get really bogged down in, I know better, or I know that I shouldn't be feeling this way, or I have all these things around me that show me that I'm successful in whatever area, and you don't feel that way. So I think it's important to understand that that's how the brain works. Hearing somebody say something negative about you, or in this case, something negative about me, that fight or flight in my brain starts sending off signals. It's just the way my body works and how all of our bodies work. And so once I gave it some time to recognize why I was feeling that way, put some, name it to tame it, put some words on those feelings, it became rational, right? I became to figure things out and say, okay, well, I'm sure there's some things I can do better, but my boss isn't talking to me about things. My wife isn't always talking to me about things. So there are some parts that are going really well, or are there areas that I think are going fine? And I think otherwise, if there was something really wrong, I would hear about it. So it just took me a while to come back down and figure those things out. And I've talked to people from our schools and our administrations and things like that, and they talk about the same thing. People who I think are just rock star people, rock star principals, rock star, long-term, 20 years teaching kind of thing. And they're like, yeah, isn't that crazy that you could be doing what you think is right and everything's going awesome and your brain takes you down a different path. So I just think it's really good to be aware of those things, have some greater understanding of it, because I say it to my wife all the time, understanding creates compassion. Understanding creates empathy for each other. When we see somebody else in somebody else's shoes, when I start figuring out the things that I have issues with myself, it helps me relate to my students. It just can be pretty overwhelming, the impact that can happen. And that's what I'll close with today. So this will be shorter. I had a student that for a majority of his life was struggling. Let's put it that way, struggling. And throughout this year, we have discovered how he thinks, or I should say we have a better understanding of how he or she thinks. And we started putting into place just some very compassionate and loving moments for them. And we have seen a complete reversal due to it. I would not say complete, I should be careful, not a complete reversal, but we've seen some reversals in some behaviors that are astounding. And it just shows you that expressing your concerns with other people, walking through ideas and problems with other people, coming to terms together on how to approach something, or coming to terms and saying, man, I'm not sure if that's going to work. And somebody is saying, well, you know what? I'm not sure either, but I'm going to try. If it doesn't work, we'll try something else. Cool, let's give it a try. So in this situation, we put some things in place that other people might say, why are you giving him this? Why are you giving him that? Is that how a behavior program works? Is that how you deal with behavior students? Is you give them all these things? In this certain situation, absolutely. Yes, this kid needed some idea that school was not a torture chamber for them, that the people around them were thoughtful and caring and helpful, that we tried to find some opportunities for some joy in the day. And so some people might think that, when it comes to how behavior programs are run or how you interact or work with behavior students, that it has to be a punitive thing, that we have to be saying, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen. And our society's like that too, so it's difficult. Our society is very punitive. But in the situation, we just decided that because the thinking was so negative all the time, because there wasn't anything quote unquote good, what good could we insert? And we asked this student, what would make your life better while you're here? What could we do to help ease the day? And they gave us a nice long list, and we utilized that list and put directly into place times for them to be able to do the things they want to do or enjoy the things they want to enjoy. And my heart is just full. Like, I just am totally caught off guard by how well it worked. And we know it's not perfect. We know we're going to have up days and down days, so we're not naive in that sense. But to see turning around in behaviors that were at one point considered so extreme, we just weren't sure how they were going to function in society at some point. And to now be like, oh boy, I wonder what they can accomplish if they start thinking about things differently. I wonder what they can accomplish in this life and be a successful part of it. So it was a real emotional thing, and it was a real eye-opening thing, that the power of understanding and caring and thoughtfulness. It goes so far. It goes so far, and the easy way of doing something is hammering somebody with something, right? The easy way of doing it is like, this is what I told you to do it, and there's not much more thought put into it. Talking through things, understanding things, and trying to see things in a different perspective can have amazing results. But you do have to set your ego aside, and you do have to set aside a lot of thinking that you've probably carried around your whole life about how to do something. And you got to be able to stop and go, okay, maybe what I've been doing for a very long time is not the best way of going about this. What could I do differently? And if you can stop and have that pause, I think you'd be kind of shocked what could come to mind. And if you elicit help from other people, man, I mean, I could not do my job. I couldn't do my job at work without the support I have. I couldn't do my work and my job at home without the support I have. So I'm very, very lucky in that situation that I have incredible people around me all the time. So I wanted to leave you with a little bit of, an idea about how self-esteem can kind of crank us in the wrong direction sometimes. And that is just the way your brain works. And that's one of the things that meditation has helped me the most with. Just because an emotion comes around, you can observe it, understand it, and let it go. You do not have to grab a hold of it and let it take you down. You don't have to do that, but it takes practice. And I'm not very good at it yet. But I've been doing meditation twice a day, once in the morning, once in the afternoon, as consistently as I can. And I've been seeing wonderful benefits just with my mindset and the way I process through things during the day and my interactions with the people I work with. I have felt better with how my thinking is. So I'm always going to highly, highly recommend meditation and finding a way to work it into practice in your day. And then on top of that, you doing it throughout your day. It's pretty amazing stuff. So thank you all for your attention. I hope you got something from this. At the very least, 50-year-old guy who's still trying to figure things out. But I hope this benefited you, and I hope you got something from it. So again, if you have any questions, if you have any tools, information, things that you have discovered after, I get emails all the time from people that have nothing to do with this podcast, but are like, hey, did you hear about this? Or hey, did you hear about that? And man, the more things that I can sift through and take things from and utilize and then let one go and try another one, it's just awesome. So please email me, Simon, SYMON, Sanborn, SANBORN @gmail.com. I would love to share your ideas, share your stories, give you full credit. I would love for this podcast to become a community of place to share ideas. I would love to have an opportunity to maybe interview teachers or interview professionals or the average person and see how they understand their child, how they understand the people that they live with and their behaviors and why they're happening, and what things that they've done to help cope with hard times. That to me would be like the best thing ever, to have this podcast and be this wonderful community of learning how to communicate better. So please give me feedback. That's all I love it. I just love seeing ideas. And I don't think I have my comments turned on YouTube, and I probably won't ever will, because other people's opinions, good and bad, I'm not too curious in. I'm more curious of finding ideas, solutions, and all of us doing it together to make a better community and a better world. So continue to take care of yourselves. Thanks so much for your time.